Now here, comments from the press. The Asian Age, in its editorial titled, US Takes Dialogue Route to Calm Ties with India, says, a clear outcome of the interaction between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump on the sidelines of the G20 meet at Osaka seems to be the easing up of worries in India-US relations, caused in particular by Mr. Trump's hectoring attitude on trade matters. The anxiety gained especially traction perhaps because the two leaders not yet met one-to-one since the end of 2017. This time, the US President personally denigrated India as tariff king and warned it to scale back fresh tariffs on 28 items, which especially hurt the US farm sector that it imposed after the US prevented duty-free entry of Indian exports under the generalized system of preferences. But for all that, the Modi-Trump meeting at Osaka went off without a hitch, with the Indian leader explaining that India had imposed additional tariffs only after the US removed GSP benefits for Indian goods. The US leaders' press conference on Saturday, which comprehended a wide range of issues, also suggests that Mr. Trump, at least for now, is not going to push through with the hard line on trade with China, raising cautious hope that the trade war between the world's two biggest economies may be tapering off. Perhaps Mr. Trump's suddenly more relaxed attitude towards tariffs in relation to trade with India may also be read as a part of a wider design to scale back on using trade as a bullying weapon in respect of all leading nations. If that is indeed the case, international anxieties about a further drop in world GDP will ebb. Shortly approaching the final year of its first term, perhaps President Donald Trump does not desire any negative fallout of trade wars to impact his own core domestic constituencies such as farmers. The important trade aspects between India and the US has been finished by the principals agreeing to leave the difficulties to be negotiated between top functionaries of the two sides. This is broadly in keeping with the US tendency to not avoid negotiations to sort out prickly matters. But no less heartening is the fact that the India and the US both appear to realize that no single issue should be permitted to torpedo a very important relationship of the international system. The Asian Age, in its editorial titled, Let Politicos Face the Law, writes, the Indore MLA of the BJP and the 10 of its aides or accomplices have been kept in judicial custody for the legislator's crass act of using a cricket bat as a weapon to assault a municipal corporation official in order to stop the demolition of a building. The law must take its strictest course in this most unpleasant episode that is emblematic of the kind of power that legislators think they can wield. This was an errant VIP behavior of the type that is common in the country when politicians simply throw their weight about. It is believed that the first time MLA may have gone on such rampage as his father Kailash Vijayvargiya is a general secretary of the ruling party of the centre in charge of the West Bengal and otherwise also very influential in Indore. There is another stream of thought that such incidents were routine when the ruling party in Madhya Pradesh was the BJP and officials were injured to such action by ruling party representatives. The Sunday Statesman, in its editorial titled Time for Lunch, writes, there can be no distinction in dining arrangements. Mamata Banerjee, who on occasion has to countenance the charge of minority appeasement, has done well to nip the kerfuffle in the bud. Friday's clarification by the Chief Minister that all students will avail facilities without discrimination will hopefully diffuse the tension that had been building up, most particularly in state-run schools in Cooch Behar, where 70% of the students belong to the minority segment. That said, the controversy is a case study of one hand not knowing what the other is up to. It thus comes about the Chief Minister was wholly ignorant of a circular reportedly advanced by the Minority Affairs Department directing the construction of separate dining halls for midday meals in state-run schools in Cooch Behar with more than 70% minority students. Those were the comments from the press presented to you by the News Services Division of All India Radio.